Kailabreece.
Ayn Rand once said, "Force and mind are opposites. Morality ends where a gun begins." Is that true? Gun control and thusly gun politics and firearm rights are some of the most controversial and intractable issues, especially within the United States. For the last several decades, this debate has been characterized by a question on whether or not an individual's right to firearms under the Constitution is more important than the duty of government to prevent crime and maintain order. Repeated polling has found that the majority of Americans believe that they do have the right to own a gun. But at the same time, the majority also believe that there is a need for stricter firearm law enforcement, which explains the tension behind the topic. The majority can't make up their mind. There are two main arguments going on. One, rights-based, and two, violence-based. The rights-based argument calls into play the U.S. Second Amendment, which states, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." The key issue here involves a disagreement over the meaning of the Second Amendment, which is interpreted by gun rights advocates as well as the Supreme Court as an individual right, and by gun control advocates as referring to a right of the people to arm themselves only when bonded together for communal defense. Well, which is it? Many gun rights advocates believe that the Second Amendment protects the right to own guns for individual defense, hunting, and target shooting. Gun rights supporters argue that the phrase "the people" applies to all individuals rather than an organized collective, and state that the phrase "the people" means the same individuals referred to in the First, Second, Fourth, Ninth, and 10th Amendments. The other argument is based on violence studies surrounding firearm ownership. There is an ongoing debate over the role that guns play in crime. Gun rights advocates say that a well-armed citizenry prevents crime and that making civilian ownership of firearms illegal would increase the crime rate by making law-abiding citizens vulnerable to those who choose to disregard the law. They note that more people actually defend themselves with a gun every year than the police arrest for violent crimes and burglary. However, on the other side, the gun control advocates say that increased gun ownership leads to higher levels of crime, suicide, and other negative outcomes. Well, which is it? The number of lives saved or lost by gun ownership is debated by criminologists and politicians. And it's debated because research is very difficult. It's hard to prove whether or not gun ownership and control is directly correlated to violence. My question to my fellow intellectuals is this: what do you think about gun laws within your country? Should everyone have the freedom to own a weapon? Doesn't matter what those weapons are. Do nations who appear softer on enforcement policies actually harbor more or less gun-related crimes? And do you even own a gun? Personally, I do not own a gun, nor have I ever even shot a BB or paintball gun. Actually, the closest I've ever gotten to a gun was a Super Soaker water gun, which I will proudly say I own several. I am a firm believer in government minding its own business. Now, I don't want a gun in my house, but I will stand up for those that want one in theirs. Whether the Founding Fathers were promoting a militia to protect them from despotic governments, or simply fighting for the inalienable right to own a gun, I think the real problem is not gun ownership, but criminals. Why do we have so many gangs? Why are we losing so many children to suicide? It's not because of guns. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. We're not at the root of the problem. The problem is the people who are ignored and left behind by family and society alike. Remember, before there were guns, there was murder and there was suicide. Let us not be reactionary by blaming the gun. Would you blame alcohol when a drunk driver kills a child crossing the street? You shouldn't. It would be the driver's fault. This is Kailabreece. What do you know?